Welcome, folks. This is a message to part one. And Coach Bala, just now you discussed about all those diagrams and endurance zone, those kind of stuff. We like to dig into detail, and we discussed a lot about that. But now my question is that usually you give other kind of runs too, right? Such as fartlek and tempo and
Speed
many
runs,
different
basically.
speed
Yeah.
runs,
Yeah.
exactly. So in those runs, what exactly happened to our body, and could you please talk about on that? That is, you told that is kind of another zone, that is not the endurance zone. So
Correct,
could you
correct.
please talk about that?
No, great question, Deepti. So for those of you who are uninitiated yet, because not everybody has done all these type of runs, you will be slowly. Some of you are just right now doing only CP runs, like just basic CP runs is what you're all doing. So CP runs is just running slowly at your conversation pace, right? Some of you are slowly getting introduced to other type of runs. The other type of runs that we introduced to are called strides. So basically what it is as Deepti was talking about, I ask you to run as fast as possible for a minute and then walk. Or I will ask you to run, 0.2 miles of fast running and then 0.1 mile of slow running, then 0.2 mile of fast running and then 0.1 mile, that kind of, things that we also teach you.
Right.
So these are the different types of, runs. And these type of runs are called strength runs. It is to build stamina. So this is not the way you will run when you run your half marathon. You will not run at as fast as you can, right? That's not the idea. You will run at normal pace, which is the CP pace. That's a typical pace you will be running. But in the training, we try to sort of like how a car engine in winter, before you drive, what do you do? Like you just, press on the accelerator and release it, press it on and release it. So you are like racing the engine up and, reduce so that you kind of warm it up kind of a thing, or also getting the power generation, improvement is happening on the engine.
Right.
Similarly, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to test your body, push your body a little bit more than what is capable of, just at a controlled way, so that the body builds stamina. And when the body builds stamina, and then when you come back to the endurance type of running, then you do a better job in the endurance type of running. That is basically the idea behind these fartlek, these strength runs. There's one more beautiful analogy that my coach used to say, and I'll tell you this. So you've seen this, right, DP? The lawn, what do you call, that small engine where you can just kick it off, and then the air blower for cleaning the leaves and all in the lawn.
Yes.
The lawn blower leaves, and you remember, you see the engine there, like that engine that is. Do you remember how the sound will be of that engine? It's like, it's like really fast rotating engine. You will see that it is rotating at like thousands of RPM. And you will make that noise of that fast rotating thing, right? Now think about, let's say you are a big BMW or one of the SUV cars. The engine in the car, you don't hear any sound at all from that engine. If you think about it, there is no sound. These big, powerful cars, when you switch it on, you don't even realize the car is running. Even when when the car is running, you don't even realize the engine is running. But if you consider these two, let me ask you, which is more powerful? Which is more powerful? I'm asking, is the BMW engine powerful or the lawnmower engine powerful?
I would say BMW.
Obviously, right?
Yeah, because there is no sound and it's pretty smooth. So.
Correct. And why is that? Because the engine is running slower, but delivering more power. Okay, like engine is rotating slower, but delivering more power, versus the lawnmower engine, it's rotating much faster, but delivering very little power.
Correct.
So what I am saying, this is a good analogy for you to understand the endurance zone and stamina zone. The endurance zone is about having more power in the body to sustain you for a long period of time. The stamina zone is about trying to give short burst of energy and run as fast as possible. It's not about power. It is about just push it hard for some time. Just build the stamina for some time so that you make all the noise and then just finish it off. But you can't do this forever. It is just a little bit. So that is a different type of training altogether. Our job is to build the BMW engine eventually. But in between, we also tune the BMW engine to run like the lawnmower engine for some time,
Got
so
it.
that it also gets the, the stamina that is needed, and then go back to the the BMW engine work, which is slow, steady, very high power kind of a engine. That's what we're trying to build our body. So that is another analogy to think of in terms of stamina versus endurance zone. And let me get back to the slide, the chart, to showcase to you what is happening to your question, what is happening to you on the faster zones of training. So if you think about it, let me share my screen. So if you think about it, this is the stamina zone, Dipti, which is somewhere between around the 2:30 pace to about 25 minutes race distance. You see in the stamina zone, what is happening? You see, very interestingly, few things are happening. Of course, effort is going up, right? There is an inflection point, a major inflection point on breathing. That means around the 1 hour mark, you realize that there is a sudden increase in the requirement of breathing. So that means your panting has started. That's really how you should understand this. When you look at the, till now there is no panting. That means you can sing the happy birthday song. After this point, there is no happy birthday song singing. You will find it difficult to have a conversation, right? That's what it means. Of course, heart rate is going up quite a bit. And of course, oxygen consumption requirement is going up quite a bit. And you see there is a sudden increase in lactic acid. Right? So if you just look at the metrics within this rectangle, you are realizing that you are in the panting zone, you are in the sustained increasing heart and effort zone, and you are also definitely crossed the lactate threshold. This is what is called as a lactate threshold. Threshold after which the accumulation of lactic acid is a lot higher than the body's ability to remove the lactic acid from the muscles. That is what is the threshold, the lactic threshold. So when you are at the lactate threshold level, your body is beginning to start pushing hard on whatever it has got, and thereby is able to somehow sustain it for some amount of time. So the question is, if we are able to push this lactic threshold to the right, just just looking at this chart only, right now the lactic threshold is around the 1 hour speed mark, right? Let's say if the lactic threshold is instead of 1 hour, let's say, it is 1 hour 15 minute speed mark right now, right? So let us say this instead of 1 hour 15 minutes, let's say you are able to push it to somewhere less than 1 hour, like 45 minutes. What does this mean? It means that you are able to run faster before lactate threshold is reached. That's what it means, right? Because you are pushing this curve to the right. That means the onset of lactate threshold is at a much faster pace. Before it was coming at 1 hour 15 minute race pace. Right. Now it is coming at only 45 minute race pace. That means I can run much faster without reaching the lactate threshold. That's what it really means. That is training. So when you are constantly doing stamina, when you're doing stamina zone training, all you're trying to do is you're pushing this threshold, lactate and the ventilation threshold to the right. Thereby you can sustain a much faster pace at CP. Or in other words, you can continue to sing happy birthday song up to 1 hour or maybe up to 45 minutes race pace. That means you're actually increasing your CP. This is the beauty of stamina zone training. When you do stamina zone training, you're pushing your body, you're struggling for some time, but because of that struggle, you are getting better at your endurance zone pace. That is why in between you do endurance zone run, stamina zone training, endurance zone training, stamina zone training. So when you do these both together, overall, by the time you get to the race, your endurance zone training really has a much higher pace, and that is your goal. And that's why you all see when you start your runs, you are running at a base pace of 12-13 minutes. But by the time you finish a 16-week training program, maybe your base pace has come down by a minute. Why? Because of this exact shift of lactate threshold that we are talking about. Hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Even I didn't know that. Even I never got a chance to, think in this way. Yeah, that your graphic representation is really nice and very, very amazingly you described. So thank you so much, Kushbala, for that.
Thank you, Deepti. So that's what I would say, runners. There is a method, a science, and an art to our training.
Right.
And what, there could, for to some, it might be a little bit more detailed than necessary. But I still realize that, let me put that off so that whenever you want, you can always come back and reflect on this. But the key training message here is this. Nailing the CP is the first thing, because you are under calm metrics scenario. Heart rate, consumption, breathing, lactate, all of them are well controlled. So your body is not in a state of shock. So body is in a state of training. That is the first message. The second message is actual training is when you can push the lactate threshold to the right, or the later, the faster pace, if you are at a 10-minute pace, 10-minute split, and you get lactate threshold situation. Thanks to training, if you're able to push the lactate threshold to 8 minutes, that means your 10-minute pace becomes CP, because now your new lactate threshold is 8 minutes. That is that training improvement portion of the training. That is why it is called as stamina runs, building stamina. So that's why in between you are asked to do split, tempo runs, fartlek runs. These are all advanced running. So those of you who are joined just now, you probably won't get it, because you need to first nail the CP. But when you come second season, third season, full marathoners, you will see that more of these tempo runs are given to you, so that you are able to drive development of your CP by pushing the lactate threshold to the right. That's the simple, even if you forget everything else, this is what comes together in training. And that you should believe in that. That's why you need to do tempo runs properly. When you go, that is why there is something called as, I ask you to read instructions before you go and do the run. So when I see some of you just not even read instruction and just go and do the run, when I ask you to do tempo run, you go and do 4-mile CP run, you haven't done anything that day, because you haven't done any improvement on your training. You have just run on your endurance zone. Pointless. You wasted 1 day of training.
Correct.
Right? So that's why you read the instructions. All of this you don't have to worry about. That's what a coach is worrying about. But at least you should know why your coach is saying something, and then you need to read instructions and stick to the instructions. If you can't stick to the instructions, then you are not in the training zone. You are doing something else. Your coach is planning something else for you. That is the goal. And then later on, you will come back to the coach and say, hey, Bala, I've been running for 8 weeks. My CP has never improved. Then I go and see if they never done your, tempo run properly. There you go. That's your reason for it. These are all the ways. Coach, art, science, all of this comes together, and you all do a great run by end of the runnings. Back to you.
Wow. Yeah, really amazing, Bala. I'm really, thrilled to, to hear, listen, and what could I say? I'm really speechless, because, the explanation was really good. And I think all our runners, they are going to learn a lot by your presentation. And it's really amazing, because see, this is my 3rd season, but I really learned a lot from your presentation. So thanks a lot for that.
Thank you, Deepti. And we'll see in the next episode. Thank you for this.